Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We all know that facts matter, and for many Albertans, the fact that matters the most is that we still don't have any certainty on the future of the Trans Mountain expansion. The reality on the ground is spending on the project is still suspended, and we're days away from the project being abandoned entirely. Despite all that, this government seems quite confident that they'll succeed on this file. To the Premier, without revealing any more details about the negotiations with Kinder Morgan, can you assure this House that the matter will be resolved by May 31st deadline?
The Honourable Premier.
Mr. Speaker, what I can assure this House is that this government will never stop fighting to make sure that this pipeline gets built and that, in fact, it will get built, Mr. Speaker. I can tell the member opposite that we are working very hard every day to get this matter across the finish line, Mr. Speaker. We are cautiously optimistic. In fact, I'd go beyond that. We're reasonably confident that that we are going to meet the deadlines the member opposite referenced, Mr. Speaker. But in any event, we are absolutely sure that we will fight as hard as we need to fight at exactly the right time to get this pipeline built for Albertans.
First supplemental.
Well, another place where facts matter is in the courts. BC is currently bringing a court challenge over Bill 12, and this government may have given them the ammunition they need to win that challenge. It's a fact that law can't specifically target the economic prosperity of another province. And while Bill 12 doesn't specifically name British Columbia, it's also a fact that the Minister of Energy said in public, and I quote, "We're going to be introducing legislation shortly which will inflict pain on BC." To the Premier, why would your government expose Bill 12 to a constitutional challenge just for the sake of political points?
The Honourable Premier.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. You know, I mean, as the member opposite probably knows, the courts will interpret a bill on the basis of what is in the bill, where it is very clear. The bill is very clear that the purpose of moving forward on it is to ensure that we maximize the return for Albertans in the way that is best possible. And it could include a whole range of options, all of which are allowed for in the bill. And that is the way that we will go forward in a strategic way to ensure we get the best price possible for Albertans at the right time, Mr. Speaker. But in addition, when it comes to the courts, as I mentioned to the other member, we just won 2 cases last week, and that's a good thing.
Second supplemental.
Well, we know for a fact that the federal government is able to exercise their authority on things it believes that are in the national interest. We'll only have to look how they've pledged to impose a carbon tax on provinces that don't come up with their own. In light of that, it's confusing and concerning that they've been so reluctant to exercise their authority on the approval and construction for an interprovincial energy project. Again, to the Premier, Minister Morneau is going to be in Calgary this Wednesday, and we all hope that he brings good news to share. But what is your government prepared to do if the federal government refuses to put their full support behind this project?
The Honourable Premier.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we have a number of tools that we are very ready to use to ensure that the folks who have the authority to do the thing, to get the pipe built, use their authority, and that the thing happens and that the pipe is built, Mr. Speaker. And so we are looking at all the various people who have a role in that, whether we're talking about the government of British Columbia, whether we're talking about Kinder Morgan, whether we're talking about the federal government. We will always fight for Albertans. We will stand up to defend this province on any front, and you can count on making sure that this pipeline will get built, Mr. Speaker.